Over the weekend, I had a really special encounter with the animal world, and I am a big believer that when animals cross our paths, especially in an out-of-the-ordinary way, they are the bearers of a message, that there is something for us to pay attention to and something that we can be applying to our own life. So I thought it would be worth sharing this story with you. I pulled in late one night, and it was dark, pouring rain, and I could see out of the corner of my headlights that there was some animal moving against the fence line of my neighbor's yard. And I didn't think too much about it. I assumed that it was probably a fox because it was about that coloring, about that size. It was difficult to see in the dark, but I figured he probably had found his way in the yard and could just as easily find his way out of the yard if we just leave him be and let nature take its course. So the next morning I wake up and I realize that I've got some neighbors that are peering over my next door neighbor's fenced-in yard. And I figure that's probably not over a fox, and I look out my window and sure enough, it's not a fox. It's a baby deer. It's a tiny fawn with all of its spots. Precious and adorable. Now, having a photography bug inside me, I grabbed my camera and very quietly, and to not disturb him too much, just sort of got in the yard so I could take some pictures. And in some ways it was heartbreaking because the poor little guy, he would take these, run, and then leap over a spot in the fence that he thought instinctually he should be able to make his way out of. And unfortunately, he would just meet with defeat. And so he was kind of running the same spots in the fence line. That's why I say I think it was instinctual to him. And as the time went by, I climbed back out. The neighbors and I started to get concerned about the fact that now he's been gone from his mother for a while. He's so young. He's probably living just on mother's milk. What should we do? So we call Animal Rescue. Animal Rescue says, whatever you do, don't touch him, because if you have any of your human scent on him, he'll probably be disowned from his mother, and we certainly wouldn't want that. And their suggestion was that if we could find a way in the fence line to give him an opening that he might naturally find, that then he might also naturally find his mother and his mother find him. So we did. We cracked open the gate, and eventually we kind of moved it as wide open as we possibly could and let the fawn find his way out. Well, about another half an hour went by. He still had not found his way out. We decided that maybe we should all just kind of go back into our homes and leave him completely alone, and that maybe he would find it. I had a window that faced that fenced-in yard, so I could watch him actually make his way back out of it, so we would know that that's what had taken place. So another half an hour went by. Fawn still wasn't getting it. I decided that I was going to go back in there with my camera and just be with him, see if there was a way that I could influence him. And then it dawned on me once I got in there. I can't believe it took me as long as this, but I've had lots of communication with animals back and forth, sending telepathic messages. Why not do it now? So I took a deep breath, I closed my eyes, got really centered, and started sending this little fawn the images of that wide open gate, and that he could be walking through it to freedom. And I remembered looking up for a second, and I could tell I was making contact with him. Like I could tell he was sort of paying attention to what I was trying to get across, but was still confused. And in my own human way, I actually lifted my arm and extended it and started, pointing to the gate, like a fawn's going to really understand that. But I think that what was happening was mentally and emotionally, the imagery and the message I was sending was coming across stronger because I was pointing. I'm sure I looked ridiculous to the neighbors. But anyway, 2 minutes later, that fawn walked right over to the gate opening. And I'll tell you, I had this moment where I just held my breath in hopes that he was going to be able to walk through it. I wanted so badly to take a picture, but I didn't want to break the moment. So I took another deep breath and I really concentrated on just picturing him moving that next step through that gate opening. And as I opened my eyes back up, what in fact was he doing? What he was walking through. So literally within 2 minutes of me sending him mental and emotional imagery, he was through the gate, whereas that gate had been open for a good hour and he hadn't found it. It was the cutest thing because as he, left the gateway, he turned around and kind of paused for a second behind a tree and peeked back out, and I swear it was as if to say thank you. What I think bears taking a moment and kind of contemplating here with this story is, where is it in your life that you keep running the same patterns, keep trying to go about things in the same way, running along that fence line, thinking for sure this is where I can leap and go into getting the results I'm really looking for, yet you still always end up with defeat? We are creatures of habit as humans, so we tend to run the same patterns over and over again, just like that little fawn was trying so hard, thinking that this has got to be the way, this has got to be the way, only to find out, no, it's not. And then the second piece to that is, once the fawn got a little bit of guidance, just by me sending some of those mental images, he was able to find his way. So the question I think we want to ask ourselves is, are we listening? Are we paying attention to the guidance that is available to us, particularly in our own inner wisdom, that can literally point us to our gateway of freedom? That gateway could be open to us right there, and we just keep walking by it, just like that fawn did. Yet all we've got to do is pay attention to the guidance and the influence that might be around us, pointing us in the direction of our freedom.